So 1987 comes, and, well, what number are we up to? We're up to number 7 on Up the Irons Week. Oh, wait! There's a problem. There's a problem. It's 1987, and there wasn't an Iron Maiden release. Yeah, that's right. They actually took an additional year to spawn out their 7th opus, which was entitled Seventh Son of the Seventh Son. This, of course, is their landmark concept album. This is their landmark album of the 1980s. This was the end of the 1980s era, so to speak, for Iron Maiden. They closed the book with one of their most powerful, their most impressive and complete albums to date. That's right. Number of the Beast was damn good, but holy shit, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son is a bastard child that could only be the work of Satan himself. Touched by the hand of God, embraced by Buddha and the noble truths, touched by Shiva, Muhammad perhaps in the mix? Nay. For only one touched the immortal greatness of this album besides the members of Iron Maiden themselves, that being the almighty Eddie, in one of his most classic incantations. Arguably one of the coolest album covers of all time. One of the most unique, one of the most grisly, and it only serves as an introduction to this particular release. I could talk for hours about Seventh Son of the Seventh Son, but of course I'm only limited to about 10 or 11 minutes. So I'm actually going to compress this as much as humanly possible while not decaying the actual value of this album because it's magnificent. They always say, lead with your best foot forward. Well, they tried that, but they kept getting better. The next step kept being the best foot, so to speak. It's a really crappy metaphor, but hey, I tried. They can't all be zingers, folks. Just the very beginning of this album, the haunting lyrics, 7 deadly sins, 7 ways to win, 7 holy paths to hell, and your trip begins. It's like opening a storybook. It's like taking a trip to a place far, far away. It's almost like having an out-of-body experience and witnessing the moves and motions that you perhaps made in a past life or are making in a future life. You decide. But you have no control. You're just merely watching the film. It's a really, really cool introduction. It's haunting. First time I heard it, gave me goosebumps, sent chills down my spine. It was only the first couple of minutes, the first couple of seconds, really, of this amazing album. Now, there's a couple different things that you see here. You see a lot of fierce experimentation, as has been the theme. A lot of people say 80s Iron Maiden sounds the same. They all sound the same, and it's all classic because it all sounds the same. Bullshit! Listen again, assholes! Now, this has a couple of different singles on it as well. And then these aren't ones that you're going to hear on the radio because, well, let's face it. Does the radio play awesome songs? No, not really. Play songs that are short, they play songs that are sweet, they play songs that'll make little 17-year-old girls happy. Or 12-year-olds if it's Justin Bieber. God. I just tarnished this video by saying the name. But anyways, we of course have Can I Play With Madness, The Evil That Men Do. And somewhat, minorly, Only the Good Die Young. Only the Good Die Young is of course a pretty famous saying. Louis Black, of course, made it the most popular. The good die young, but pricks live forever. Let's get to the actual music. This is lavish, this is broad, this is beautiful. This has periods of just savage brutality that are mixed with absolute clairvoyant amazingment. Wow. Amazingness. Jeez. This is how amazing this band and this particular album is, folks, whenever I'm inventing words that Webster would laugh at. Alright. Enough said. The centerpiece of this particular album is the title track, Seventh Son of the Seventh Son, which is the longest track that this band had recorded since Rime of the Ancient Mariner off the Power Slave disc. 4 short years before. Sorry about that. And it's incredible. The title track of the album is something that we haven't seen since Power Slave. We sort of saw it in Somewhere in Time with Caught Somewhere in Time, but I'm being tacky. Really, really great center point of the album. Really gets the theme across, not to mention addicting as hell. Who doesn't love to just throw up your horns and say, "Seventh son of the seventh son!" Infinite Dreams, Moonchild. I mean, the problem with Up the Irons Week, folks, that I've noticed is that whenever I talk about these records and I just get into it, I get into so much nostalgia. I get into the feelings that I got whenever I listened to this stuff as a kid, whenever I first got into the band. And, you know, the first time I heard Seventh Son of the Seventh Son, I was with my best friend, who surprisingly has not been a part of any of these videos yet, and our jaws hit the floor. It was just a spellbinding experience. It was earth-shattering, it was mind-changing, it was soul-raping, it was phenomenal. Something that I would kill to experience again for the first time, but first time, it's like breaking the virgin ears of Seventh Son to Seventh Son. The only difference is that this first time will always be great. It's always going to be something you'll remember. It's not going to be like remembering that your first time was in the back of a pickup truck with a guy that looked like your father. I think I've lost many of you. This is also an album where they employed keyboards, and this is something that added to the dynamisty of this particular band and also furthered their exploration. There's the word again. I'm trying to beat it into these purist heads that felt that there was very little stylistic change throughout the late 1980s in Iron Maiden. There was. Bruce's voice has never been crisper, cleaner, better. The compositions have not been more well thought out. And you know what? Here's the scary thought. Imagine back in the 80s that we were waiting 4 years for Iron Maiden albums like we are today in the 2000s and now 2010s. Imagine, this is the evolution that we had from Somewhere in Time to Seventh Son of the Seventh Son. You go from a record that's like an 8 to a record that's like a 9.5. That's my favorite Iron Maiden release of all time. That is wildly considered to be one of the greatest albums ever made in 2 years. If they had waited 4 years, I don't think we would be alive. For one, we would all be so excited about the release that the anticipation would kill us. Like, literally. And if we survive long enough to hear the release, I think the spontaneous orgasm of all those metalheads round the world may just cause some sort of ridiculous implosion, or the second baby boom, which would implode the world with the savage overpopulation problem that we would be faced with now if such a thing had happened. I'm losing you guys again. I'm just going to say this. I called it a 9.5. You know what that means, as far as Up the Irons Week is concerned? Listen to this album! I can't make it any more clear.